Hey everyone, I'm Tyler,
And I'm Sam,
and we're two buds,
and this is Two Buds Movie Reviews.
and we review movies because we like movies.
And today we are reviewing the new horror movie known as Honeydew. It just came out today. Today is Thursday, April 15th, 2021.
Who's it
And
directed by?
it's directed by Devereux Milburn, and it is also written by Devereux Milburn. And the stars are Barbara Kingsley, uh, Stephen D'Ambrose, and William Idolo. Wait, there's
Well,
one
isn't
more.
the guy the main dude like Steven Spielberg's son? Pretty sure.
Stephen D'Ambrose. Mate, I don't
I
know.
think so. Anyways, this is an
Um.
interesting one.
Oh, also Lena Dunham.
This, yeah,
Yeah, this one I liked it a lot. I mean, like, let's just start out with the basic premise of the movie, which is
okay.
these two. There's a couple, a woman and a man, and they
Yup.
go and they're from the city. They're clearly like techie people,
hmm
and they drive out. I'm not sure like what part of the country it is. I think it's
They're in Massachusetts.
okay.
They're
Well,
in
there
like
you go.
rural. They're on like the rural east.
So I would assume that they live in Boston, right?
Yeah, probably.
And then so they drove out into like the sticks, like where all the farms are, and they set up a campsite in this open field. And then
But wait, let's backtrack for a sec. This is
what are
just the nature of the podcast, people. We're gonna
what are we
backtrack for a second.
What are we saying?
So they're going to explore this like the boyfriend is like a starving act. He's like a starving actor basically, and the
Yeah,
girlfriend is studying to get her like doctorate in like fungi or some shit like that.
botany.
Botany, yeah. But they're going to explore this. She's like taking him to go to explore this like fungi that's like destroying all these crops
Yeah,
in
wheat.
like
Yeah, it's destroying wheat crops.
right.
But it's not just destroying it. It causes like when farm animals ingest it, and then when humans either ingest the wheat, the affected wheat, or the animal that is has eaten the wheat, it like affects their brain, like their. I'm not entirely sure what it does to them, but it like makes them very trippy. Like that's the best way to put
Yeah,
it.
it trips him out.
And it also like it makes your fingers black. I'm not sure if this is like a real thing or if it was just for this movie, but there are plenty of examples of parasitic shit that affects crops, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so like they're basically on vacation and she's also using this vacation to like prepare for her doctorate, right? Her
Right.
thesis in botany.
Right.
She's
Like
focusing
for her like research paper or whatever to get her doctorate. That's like
yeah,
what it's gonna be on.
she's focusing on this fungi that affects
Yeah.
wheat.
But we
And
don't need
so
to get too much into the nitty gritty of like
not
what
not
the
not
what happens.
not yet. I
Not
think that
yet.
that becomes important though. I'm glad you stopped me because
Yeah.
it's like the main part of this whole
Oh,
shit.
yeah, definitely. But
So
I'll continue with the synopsis
go.
if you
Yeah,
don't mind.
so they're camping. It's
So they're
yeah.
camping. They go to this like random field in like the middle of rural Massachusetts, and then
They get all
like
hot and heavy.
they get all hot and heavy for no reason. It doesn't add anything to the story. It's just there.
Well, they have to have a sex scene.
Dude, they don't though, you know?
They
Like it
definitely
was
don't.
just like it was like a 5 second, like, yeah, we're fucking, like, and then all of a sudden they got lights on their tent, and there's like this really old trippy dude who's like, hey, you're on my private property. You
Smoking a
need to get
pipe.
out.
Yeah, he's like puffing on an old pipe, and he's in like
Yep.
this little. It's not a golf cart. It's like a farm golf cart. It's like not a real car, but it's for like driving across fields.
Yeah.
And he has his lights like shined right on the tent, and then they like poke their heads out, and it's really awkward. Like the whole exchange between the couple and the farmer guy is it's kind of like the farmer guy is kind of creepy, and he's like, all
Of
right,
course he's creepy.
he's
We
like,
already know.
he's like, I'll be back in 2 hours or an hour, and you
And
guys
his
need to
name
be
is
gone.
His name is Euless.
Yeah. Um,
His name is
and
Euless.
so they pack up all their shit. They get it in their car, and then what do you know? The car doesn't work. It won't start anymore. And this didn't raise any red flags for me at first because it's like this shitty old Datsun. You know, it's from like I think like the late '80s. So I'm like, of course it's gonna have car troubles. But later we find out that clearly Euless or some of the other uh, characters messed with the car to keep them stranded. And so then they're wandering through the forest, and they come across this, like, I wouldn't say it's a cabin, but it's like a homestead, like in the middle.
It's like one of those stereotypical like old big houses in like the middle of a field.
It
Like
wasn't giant, you know.
no, it wasn't giant, but it was like 2 stories at
Yeah,
least.
yeah. Well, actually three, including the
Right,
basement.
right.
Yeah, and so they approach this old house. They knock on the door. This seemingly sweet old lady like opens the door, and there's still the screen, and it's really awkward. Like, and
Dude,
she's just there.
let me
Yeah,
say something real quick.
yeah. What's
So
up?
she's sweet, but like the way the movie is filmed, it's like they make her look like a scary ass demon, basically.
It's
Like it's
creepy.
like clearly that she's like the bad guy.
But like
Like it's like
for
obvious.
yeah, but like the first 5 seconds, I'm like, okay, clearly she's the creepy lady, but also she seems sweet for the first 5 seconds.
Right.
Um, I mean, it's definitely unsettling, and also like all like it's clear that there's some problems between the couple. Like they clearly have some issues that they need to
Yeah.
work.
Well, like the guy is like has like really high blood sugar or something, so he can't eat meat or like eat like
Sugar or anything.
sugar or anything like that. And he's like on the toilet, like contemplating if he should eat like this like Twinkie or something in the
Yeah,
beginning, but that doesn't really
yeah.
matter.
That doesn't matter. It just shows that like there's some issues between them, and
And
that
she's a vegan as well.
yeah, she is vegan, and she like kind of looks down upon him for eating meat. But
Right.
anyway, so like they get into this house, and this woman has what seems to be her son, who has, and the woman says that he got kicked by a horse like a week ago or something, and he's just sitting there watching old Popeye, and that shit was creepy as fuck.
And he has like a bandage around himself. He's basically seen like he's senile. Like he can't. Isn't that the word I'm looking for? Like he can't.
I don't know if that's the word you're looking for. He's like definitely mentally
Like he
incapacitated.
can't function. Like he can just sit there and eat food. Like he can't talk, and he's like drooling and shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's literally just watching. No, senile is when you're old. Having or showing weaknesses or diseases of old
Okay.
age.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the wrong word.
but like
But
I
he's
mean,
like
I see what you're
incapacitated.
like.
Like what you're saying. Yeah.
He's like a 30-something-year-old like heavy set dude, and like I see what you're saying. Like if he was an old guy, he would look senile because he's not fully there, right? And he has like this big bandage around his head, and he's just like he has like this big tube that's going into some milk, right? And he's just like, and then like
Yep.
she serves
We
both
don't
of.
need to. Okay, Sam. We don't need to summarize like the whole thing step by step. Like I don't
That's
think.
true. That's
Like
true.
we
But
already. You
I
know.
also like I think that this part is important.
Yeah.
Like
No. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Keep going then.
she
Keep
like
going.
I know I'm not gonna get too into the nitty gritty, but like the food is the real important part. And like
Yeah.
spoilers.
Spoilers, motherfuckers.
She clearly has, like I noticed it pretty much immediately. I'm like, oh, she has this fungus thing that like this
Yeah.
lady's
Yeah.
researching.
Right.
And then she even asks her about it, like, oh, have you been affected by the recent cattle shit from like from this fungus? And
Yeah.
she's like, what? Oh yeah, that was pretty bad, and like that
Yeah.
was it.
And
And
that
like
was all she said. She's like
and
smiling the whole time and shit. And she's just like, yeah,
and she's like cooking these fat chunks of what it seems to be steak, right?
it's meat.
It's some meat, yeah. And so while at dinner, the woman, like the cut, like the what's her name? I'm blanking on her name. I'm trying to. I don't
Watch it
want to
be
mix
Karen. Watch it be freaking Karen.
the vegan lady
Oh, I
who's
thought you meant the old lady.
no. The vegan lady is like, we don't like, we're not eating meat. Don't serve us meat. And so he, like, the husband or the boyfriend or whatever is clearly pissed. And so like they finish eating or whatever, and then they both go to bed. And then the husband, I'm skipping over some stuff. And
It's
then
fine. It doesn't matter.
not the husband, but the boyfriend, he goes back upstairs, and then he just like gorges
Or
himself
down,
with.
whatever, downstairs, wherever it is. He goes back to the kitchen and he
He was
just
at
eats
no,
all
no,
that shit.
they're in the basement, so he went upstairs.
Oh yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that. They are
Yeah,
in the
so
basement.
they're in this creepy ass basement. She took a shower, and then he goes upstairs while she's in the shower, and he's eating, right? And he's like gorging himself with all the shit he couldn't eat, and he thinks it's delicious. And then like
Okay, some crazy shit just happened. We're gonna interrupt this podcast for a brief moment here. My cat just caught a lizard and is currently eating it, and I don't want her to bring it inside. But okay, keep going.
It's a cycle of life.
Yeah.
It's a cycle of life.
Okay,
Right when
yeah,
I'm talking about the dude eating like the creepy ass food. And then he kind of like passes out. Like he's like all wobbly and trippy, and he like slumps over on the, and I'm like, okay, now for sure I know that this fungus is in the food.
Right.
He's, like slumps over on the kitchen table. And then when he comes to, oh shit. And then when he comes to this the son with the brain damage is like standing in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets like really mad. Like the son with the brain damage gets really mad at the boyfriend, and like you don't know why he's mad.
I know, but it makes sense all at the end.
It makes sense because he's essentially saying, "Stop eating that shit, please."
Right.
Yeah, because
like, that's what made me fucking like this.
Yeah, he's like, "Please stop eating that. Please stop eating that." And, but like the boyfriend doesn't get it, and so he just kind of leaves, and he goes back downstairs, and then he thinks his girlfriend is in the shower, but like I skipped over that she heard a creepy noise while he was upstairs, and then she went to investigate, and then now we don't know where she is, and now we're gonna really start skipping shit.
Okay, we really got to start skipping shit now because we're getting
we're getting lost in the. But I think that was all very important. So they're split up. He's under the influence of this creepy fungus from eating the food, so he's kind of trippy, and so he's like now looking for her. And then eventually he comes across this, like he's wandering around, like it's like a 30-minute sequence of him looking for her. And then eventually he's like outside like around the house, and he sees like this box like in this little enclave, and he walks up to it, and then the creepy old lady's like sitting in the the corner in the dark. And honestly, when that happened, I'm like, how does he not fucking see her? Like,
right.
Like you don't. But then when I was done, I was thinking about that. He's like, it's because he was like drugged up,
hallucinating and drugged out.
Yeah. And so then he opens the box, and before we know what's inside, but I don't think it's really important what's inside right now, she like jabs him in the neck with this big needle.
Yep. And then
they both.
We're getting really nitty gritty here.
No, we're not. No, we're skipping over a lot, dude.
All right, I know, but we don't need to summarize everything.
This isn't like all these are important plot points. Like if we just jump to right when they were like strung up, it's not going to make any sense.
Well, we're not trying to make sense of it. Like we're hoping you've already seen the film if you're listening to this.
Yeah, we're still figuring out.
We're figuring it out. But fine.
essentially, it's revealed that like they're both strung up. They come to, and they're like on like this big pedestal thing, right?
Yep, they're on this big pedestal.
And it becomes clear that these people are eating people. Both the original farmer guy with the pipe,
Euless, and Karen.
And Karen, Karen, the old creepy lady.
Yep.
And then they also like Euless. This part's actually important. This isn't nitty gritty. This is what I thought was like one of the creepiest parts of the whole movie. They reveal that their daughter is still alive, and we thought that their daughter was dead.
Because there's all these pictures of her and shit, and she's
And the thing in the what's in the box is the daughter, and the daughter doesn't have arms or legs.
Yep.
And she's clearly fucking crazy because she's been locked in a box her whole life, right?
And probably fed the fungus, right?
Yeah, and also fed herself.
Right.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah. This is where my memory gets foggy with the movie.
That shit really creeped me out. And like inside the box, there's like a shit ton of Bible verses like pasted around. And like there's this little flap that's open right at her eyes. And so like all she sees is like her two creepy ass parents like looking in on her. Like
Euless and Karen are like that's their daughter.
Yeah. And so like essentially they're like they're both extremely affected by this fungus. And they're like, yeah, this shit got hard, so we just took what was our own and we survived. And essentially they're like, we just ate people, including our daughter. And then and so then like
it is creepy. I did not think the movie was like genuinely scary though. Like a movie like, for instance, like Hereditary or like whatever that guy's directed.
It wasn't like thrilling. Like the very end was kind of thrilling. But
but it wasn't like Sam and I we've watched many horror movies, so like we're not shit isn't as scary, but like it is scary, but it's not like really disturbing. Like it's disturbing, but it's not like gonna stick with you for
Dude, it might stick with some people. It
some
didn't.
people.
It didn't stick with me or you, but we have a high threshold for creepy shit. And
That's
that
right.
dude, honestly, that part did creep me out, and I thought about it later, like her being in the box, and also like they were feeding the daughter, and then also what's revealed is not the son; it's just another lost traveler
Right.
that they gave a lobotomy
That
to.
that was the best part, in my
Yeah,
opinion. Like when you figure out that it's not the son, it's just the guy that comes before the couple, and the couple is gonna take basically like
his place.
take his place and be like fucked up in the house and just like
Mm-hmm. Getting fed a shit ton of food, like
right,
fattening them up, right?
right.
Um, yeah, so like like Euless and Karen have a food break where they eat like a person essentially. Well, not a full person, but they eat meat from a person, and they feed it to both the lost traveler guy, they're the son, and then also the daughter, and then they're like, okay, she's hot enough, put her back,
Yep.
and then like they close the lid, and you're like, Jesus Christ, okay,
Yep.
and then they're about to give a lobotomy to the couple that's tied up um, on like this like big post, and then they
Yep. It's on this like big like I don't know why, but it reminded me of like a cross in Jesus.
yeah,
I don't know. Like
for sure.
I think it was a cross.
Well,
Maybe
there was a lot of religious, not even undertones. It was overtones. You know, like
right,
it was
right, right, right.
very yeah. So the cops show up, and while Euless and Karen are telling the like essentially like working the cops, you know, and then like the cops leave because like seemingly they're just two old people, two
Right,
old poor farmers,
right.
and so the cops leave. But in that time, the couple get the the son, quote unquote, who's not actually the son, to untie them, right? And so as they're leaving, does does the do they shoot the son? They definitely kill him. I forget how they
Dude,
not
I
this.
honestly don't remember. This is where my brain gets foggy watching the movie.
So oh dude, I know I remember what happens. So they're running away, the three of them.
We're getting
Yeah,
back into the groove of this. It's fine.
yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
fine. So
You're doing most of the talking this time. It's fine.
it's okay, but like once we're done with like the whole plot, then you're gonna talk a lot too. I just remember it, I think, a little better, which
Yeah,
is
you
fine.
definitely do.
So the three of them are running, like the couple, and then like the son, quote unquote, who's not actually the son, and so they're running through the forest, and then the brain damaged guy gets caught in a bear trap, and that's how he got caught first. And so it's just
Oh
like
yeah.
that part. I was also like, damn, that's heavy. And then they
Yeah.
because he's like, that's all he really remembers is like getting caught in the bear trap, and then
Well,
he's
yeah, and
caught
after
again.
that, he's just fucked up with all the fungus.
Yeah, and so then well, not dude, it's not the fungus. Like he got a lobotomy.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's how they get them up on that cross pedestal, is having them fucked up with the fungus. But I don't even know if they realize that the way that they make them like subservient is with the lobotomy, you know.
Yeah. Right.
And so then they get caught in the bear trap. Like he gets caught in the bear trap. They shoot him, and then like it's kind of cuts to black for a second, and then it opens up with uh the girlfriend. Like she clearly has had a lobotomy. She's at the kitchen table
Doing the
drinking
same shit that,
drinking milk and watching Popeye
and I'm pretty
cartoon.
sure she's eating honey. Like it's called honeydew because that's the fruit that
She's eating.
I think. Because like that's the only reason why I could think it's called honeydew.
She was also eating meat, so it's clear that she was lobotomized because she
No.
like
Right. Right.
was
Right.
vegan. And she's also pregnant too, which is
So fucked up.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and then it cuts to the basement where the boyfriend is, and he's also clearly had a lobotomy. And then the creepy lady Karen comes down, and she's feeding him. And then it kind of like pans down, and one of his legs is missing, or both
Yep.
of them.
I
No,
think
both of them.
it's both of them. It's the same as the daughter.
But both of the legs are missing, but he still has his arms,
Right.
right? And the daughter, right then, it's revealed that she doesn't have arms or legs, and she's just like a potato essentially.
Was that then? I
I
thought it
think
was
so.
before.
I don't know if we saw it in the coffin or not. They're like the box, but so they're both clearly eating each other or eating one of them. Like they're both like she's feeding
I
them.
think she's eating his legs.
Yeah, something like
Is
that.
what happens.
They're feeding. Yeah, like they're, and then that's the end of the movie. Like that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, that's the end of the movie. Creepy as shit.
Super creepy, dude. I mean I really
Not
liked
that
it,
scary in my opinion.
dude. I thought I mean
It was, in my opinion, it was not as good as the trailer made it look to be. The trailer made it, I don't know. It was still, it was
I liked
good.
it.
It was good.
I liked it. Like what detracts, like what made it less good than the trailer, would you say?
I don't know. Maybe it's just me as a person because like I've seen so many horror movies that like I was expecting it to be like, because you know, like you think about like a movie like Get Out or like the other one even by Jordan Peele. It's like,
Us?
yeah, it's like there's a twist that you do not see coming.
Yeah.
Like you literally do not see coming. This was like, okay, that makes sense.
Dude, I didn't
Like
see the daughter coming.
I didn't either, but like I don't know, maybe I just wasn't in the right like headspace to watch the movie. Maybe like
Also, comparing all horror movies to Jordan Peele is
you
unfair.
can't.
He's like the best. Like
He's
there's
not the
that's
best. He's only made two, and they're like two of my
I
favorite movies ever.
yeah. So exactly.
Yeah.
You just made my point. Like you
Yeah,
can't. It's
you're
yeah.
right. You're right. I don't know. Um, I give it a 3.5 out of 5
Okay,
as far as a horror movie. Not that we were doing ratings yet,
that's
but
fine. I give it a 4.
yeah.
I
I
liked
don't know
it.
why I'm more harsh than you on this, some of this shit.
That's
But
fine,
we
dude.
also
So
have differing interests. You like horror better than I do at this point.
I don't know if that's necessarily. I mean, I love horror movies. I just thought it was like yes, parts of it were pretty predictable for sure. I would agree with that. It didn't make it any less creepy, especially like I had an inkling that they were eating people, but I didn't really know. I thought it was just going to be about the fungus, and then they were all crazy. But
Yeah.
it was the fungus, and they were all crazy, and then it drove them to start eating people. One thing that was
And it was
unclear,
all like because of religious reasons in their
yeah,
minds or
yeah,
something.
uh-huh.
It
And
was super weird.
one thing that was kind of um, unclear to me, and this is why I didn't give it a 4.5 or a 5 out of 5, is it wasn't clear when the daughter died in their story.
No, it was just like many years ago, it seemed.
But if it was many years ago, this is just like a plot hole. Like they didn't really explain how long the fungus had been around. They didn't explain like the widespread effects it had on the region. It was just all the theory that we learned, right?
Right.
And then so like we don't know, like if the daughter died many years ago and this was before the fungus, then they were crazy before the fungus. But they didn't, maybe that wasn't important, like when they went crazy, but I feel like it is. That's why I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just, it was, for me it was not like the most exciting. I don't know. It just wasn't.
I wouldn't say excited. But dude, I mean, like the first half isn't really a build up. It's just like,
And that's what I look for in like a type of movie like this. Like
yeah.
I really like like a build up,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
I mean, it was what's it called? Not it was understated, which I think is like what they were going for. It wasn't
Right.
supposed to be like an in your face like. It was just like it was creepy without them like being gratuitous about the
Right.
creepiness. You know, I
Right.
don't know.
And it
I
wasn't I didn't think it was overly violent like in
no, it
terms
wasn't.
of
No,
it
there's a
was
lot
just
of
creepy. It was just creepy.
there's a shit ton of implied violence. Like clearly
Right.
cut off people's arms and
Right.
legs,
Right.
but
Right.
we didn't have to see that, which I appreciated. And I think that this movie was like
Hey, I don't mind seeing that shit. Like it just depends on the movie. But this movie obviously
it
that did
wouldn't have
not it
worked.
wouldn't have fit. Yeah.
Yeah, and also
It's more it's yeah.
I think that this was like a low budget movie or an independent movie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so that's I think why, like part of the reason why they didn't like have like these giant special effects scenes. I also
Right.
think it added to it. Like I think that it was supposed to be kind of like a slow burn from afar kind of thing.
Right.
Like you're not like you don't see all the shit, but all the things that are implied like stick in your head. And sometimes like imagining that stuff is creepier than actually seeing it.
Right.
You know?
Right. But if I do think about it, like there's no, this is kind of a tangent from the film itself, but I don't think there's any like really good. I'm trying to think. Maybe like what I said before, like Jordan Peele, like the Us movie, but there's not really any big horror movies that have like big sequences of like scary shit that are like really good. I feel like all the best ones are like all more slow burn, low key, camera angles, lighting,
You really
sound
think that
effects.
you think that like the climax of Us was low key?
No, that's why I changed my mind. I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yeah, no. The climax of Us definitely on a budget,
Oh
but
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I liked it. And also like I'm gonna
3.5 out of 5 buds for
4 out of
Tyler.
5 for Sam. So an average of 3.75 buds
There
out
you
of
go.
5.
3.75 out of 5. It's really good. If you like
I
horror, watch it. I would.
yeah, if you like horror, you should watch it. If you're scared of horror, I might avoid it. I like honestly it would creep people out, you know.
Right.
And especially like this is a distinction that um my little sister actually taught me. There's people that are afraid of supernatural horror, and then there's people that are afraid of real life horror, and like this is real life, you know? Like real life is in like something that humans do to each other.
Right.
And then supernatural is like demons and ghosts and fucking aliens and all that shit, right?
You know what's interesting? For me, they both weigh about the same.
Yeah, same. No, like no, same. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is that if you are a person that likes horror movies but you're really afraid of real life horror such as like The Invitation or Strangers or whatever, like that kind of thing, you know, like
Still
where it's
watch it, or it'll just be scary.
it'll
That's
just be
all.
scary for you.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah,
be
and
very
and it'll
scary.
be fun.
Yeah, but we think it's fun, but some people like it puts them off, you know. So just
Yeah, but like people that like horror will like most people that watch horror can watch most of the horror, like all the horror, I would say, because they just
I
are.
don't, dude. Like that's like a generalization neither
It
of us
is. It's
know.
a generalization I'm making, but I
I
don't
think
know.
like for me and you, we can watch all of it, but there are some people that like can't, like they wouldn't be able to watch this one if
Do you
it's
remember
or
The
it's too much.
Lodge?
The Lodge is good.
The Lodge is fucked up.
Yeah,
Like
that's
that.
fucked up
Yeah, yeah,
too,
that's scary.
and that's real life horror too.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah,
I mean,
kind
yeah,
of.
it is. It is. It's like a psychological thriller. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off base.
All right, we're gonna have final comments here.
All right, you go first.
Um, I like the mood of the movie. You know, it was kind of like tannish brown, black, gray was sort of like the color scheme of the movie. In my like, that's what I got. It was like fields and like some like
Yeah,
off.
like
Yeah,
you're right. And like going off of that, there was a lot of green at the very beginning, and then at the end there was no green,
right.
which I thought was a good
It was
touch.
just very like blah colors, kind of. In
Mm-hmm.
my I don't really remember the sound effects or any of that.
It was good.
Um,
The sound
oh,
design was
actually, you
good.
know what? I do remember. I think it was over the top. That's
You
something I
do?
did not like about the movie. Now that I think about
Like
it, it
the
was like,
music?
yeah, there was too much like weird sounds
I liked it.
that didn't add to it, in my
I liked
opinion.
it. All right, that's fine. Yeah, that's a valid opinion. I mean, to your point, there were a couple times where I'm like, are these bumps something that they're hearing, or is this the music?
Right. I feel
But then,
that.
you know, like, but then I was like, I feel like that's part of it. Like they're trippy, we're trippy.
Right.
Like you don't know what you're hearing, they don't know what they're hearing. You
We don't
know?
know if we're seeing is what we're seeing is real,
Yeah,
blah blah blah. But like it's pretty like a simple film overall,
yeah.
I
I mean,
would say.
it's like, I mean, yeah. It's like an A to B kind of movie, like point A to point B.
Yeah.
There are some twists, but
But like we
I,
discussed all the twists already.
yeah, and it's not. I mean, like you kind of know what's happening, honestly.
Right.
So my thoughts are, I liked it. It creeped me out, but it didn't really stick with me. There were like a couple of things that they glossed over, which I think it would have been cool to just like give like one or two more sentences to. Like they don't have to show me anything, but I wanted more information on like how the
The
daughter,
daughter,
yeah,
yeah.
like really, like honestly, because I thought it was one of the strongest parts of the movie,
Yep.
like the most disturbing and creepy, but they didn't really explain it. enough. And when I say enough, I just literally wanted one or two more sentences because we see a picture of her in a wheelchair, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, she died like 4 years ago." And
Right.
then the next thing we see, she's getting lifted out of this box, and she's clearly crazy because she's been like stuck in this hellhole for so long, right?
Right.
So yeah, yeah,
Anyways,
I liked it though. I thought it
I
was
liked
good.
it too. I didn't like it as much as you. You know, but we're just if we keep going, we're just gonna ramble. So,
Yeah, if you like horror, go watch it.
yep. If you like horror, go watch it. That's what I say. Simple as
Mhm.
that.
It's on
3.5
Amazon.
out of 5 buds. It's on where?
I think it's on Amazon. Let me
Nice.
check. Let me check. Uh,
Stay right there.
where am I gonna go? Voodoo and Amazon Prime. Tyler's left the building. Those are some nice trees. I need to go, Tyler. I need to go. It's time.
Lucy,
Tyler.
you can't be doing that. I don't want Lucy to bring this lizard into the house. That's all.
Okay. All right. I think we're done.
We are. Yeah, we are done. We are done. Great film. Not amazing, but good.
Yep. If you like horror, go watch it.
If you
This
like
is
horror, yeah, simple as that.
this has been Two Buds Movie Reviews.
And we
Thanks.
will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us. Peace out.
Peace, y'all.